We don't have to get up at 2:30? All right, maybe that's good. Hey, let's talk about Bob Gates has a brand new book out. Not for, was it another week?
Comes out next Tuesday.
It comes out another week, and I'll tell you what, I was surprised to read that the administration, was, according to the Daily Mail of London, was blindsided by what was in this book and that the book was being released. In fact, according to these reports, there's just one guy or one person in the White House reading this now, summarizing it to get the talking points out. Very interesting that no one pushed back and tried to diminish Gates outside Axelrod making an appearance and different tweets from former administration officials. For the most part, there was only one person who was defended on the early excerpts of Bob Gates' book.
Right. Well, I mean, certainly everyone's looking for the president. Like, where is President Obama after all these comments come out from the book, as it, is coming out? I think we're searching for him, but there's no hiding Biden. We saw him everywhere. They made sure he was in every photo. We knew what time he was eating lunch, brushing his teeth.
And he had 5 appearances. He had 5 appearances with the president yesterday.
Yes,
well, we only saw
and
this
we
one.
knew about that because they let us know about it. And that photograph was the first time in this administration's history that we've been able to see this lunch actually occur. So past the bread and butter, I guess. I'm not sure what happened there. Ed Carney, though, actually went in and Jay Carney was taking questions from Ed Henry yesterday, but I'm not sure he answered anything. Take a listen.
You let the photographers in, and that is a great positive step, but you did not let any reporters in. And we see this more and more, that you seem to think giving more access is letting photographers in, which we support, but we can't have anybody shout a question. We can't have any. If the president wants to defend the vice president.
He doesn't. Ed, can I tell you, we let photographers in because he knows he doesn't need to. We let photographers in because we've had an ongoing discussion about access for photographers.
And we have an ongoing discussion with reporters as well.
Good thing.
You're leaving out that we've had an ongoing discussion.
And you're leaving out that word for word, minute for minute, question for question, this president has answered more questions from the free and independent press, or at least as many as his immediate predecessors, which we've discussed.
Why not today?
Well, he doesn't. I don't know of any president in history who's taking questions every day.
Not every day. He hasn't taken a question since what? Was it December 20th?
Well, you and he were.
And see, that was tense because in the Gates book, what Bob Gates, former defense secretary, says regarding Joe Biden is they say that Mr. Biden was wrong on nearly every major policy and national security issue for the last 40 years. According to somebody inside the White House, the quotation is, "This is very, very bad. Jay Carney is spinning everyone, but that is his job." Somebody tough to spin are the American troops who were actually put in harm's way. Pete Hegseth, former captain, was talking to Elizabeth just about an hour ago about what this book does to the troops. Listen to this.
To see the political nature of decisions being made in the White House when we have warriors losing their lives on the battlefield. Unfortunately, though, they confirmed the worst fears many of us already had, that for this president and this White House, it was never about finishing the war in Afghanistan properly. It was about ending it and getting out as quickly as possible. If you want to be a politician or a pundit and walk around and say, well, I support the troops but not the mission, not the commander-in-chief, your job is to support that warfighter and then give them a mission and a job to be successful.
And what Pete's referring,
by the way, he's a current captain.
Yeah, he's still active in the reserves. But here's what he's responding to. He's responding to the fact that, according to the Secretary of Defense, who had the chance to compare 2 presidents back to back, he said the mission in Afghanistan, the president did not believe in it. It took him forever to make the decision. He got the surge troops in place. And the problem, according to Gates, was that he campaigned on that being the good war, campaigned on taking that war, taking it back from the Taliban, preventing al-Qaeda from reconstituting. And then when he sat down and looked at it, he wasn't into it. So he sends these troops in with a date to pull out, much to the dismay and anger of General Petraeus, and then says, I don't believe in the mission. Guys like Pete Hegseth go and try to complete that mission that the person sent him in doesn't believe in. And that's the outrage that we're hearing from coast to coast. And I imagine at Walter Reed today as they read these excerpts in this book.
Imagine the commander-in-chief claiming that he supports you but not your mission. How do you separate the two? And how do you separate yourself as commander-in-chief from your troops and the mission that you're putting forward? It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense on paper. Doesn't make sense on air. Doesn't make sense from the President of the United States. To hear any of that coming forward in this book is just shocking.
Yeah, and I was watching one news channel yesterday. You would think that this would be a big story. all about the bridge thing with Christie. We're going to be talking about that in a little while as well. Meanwhile,